is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we are thrilled to welcome to the program Annette Whittemore. She's the president and founder of the Whittemore Peterson Institute, and Judy Mikovits is the director of research for WPI, also a doctor. I can't think of a more exciting program I've done, because what we're about to talk about is world-shattering news. I want to read, if I could, just the first paragraph of your press release. The Whittemore Peterson Institute scientists discover significant link between XMRV and ME/CFS, which we'll go into in a moment. A recently identified retrovirus called XMRV has been linked to a debilitating neuroimmune disease that affects more than 1 million people in the United States. Scientists from the Whittemore Peterson Institute, located at the University of Nevada, Reno, and their collaborators from the National Cancer Institute and Cleveland Clinic have discovered a retroviral link to myalgic encephalomyelitis and chronic fatigue syndrome. They recently published their groundbreaking findings in the journal Science, one of the world's leading journals of original scientific research, global news, and commentary. The paper, entitled Detection of Infectious Retrovirus XMRV in the Blood Cells of CFS Patients, is a major breakthrough in understanding the origins of this disease. Let's start out with the most basic, which is, what is a retrovirus?
Well, there are only 2 other human retroviruses known: human T-cell leukemia virus and HIV, the retrovirus that causes AIDS. Both of these viruses cause cancers, neurological diseases, immune deficiencies, and inflammatory disorders in man. XMRV is only the 3rd human infectious retrovirus shown, and that's what our work just did.
What made you look for this? Because this was originally discovered in prostate cancer tissue of men with a specific genetic immune system defect by Dr. Silverman of the Cleveland Clinic. Why did you put that over to CFS and ME?
That genetic link was the hereditary prostate cancer gene number 1 is an antiviral enzyme that is also a hallmark of the abnormalities of ME/CFS patients. So we thought that we reasoned that if this virus is infecting men with this immune defect and causing prostate cancer, that it might indeed be the culprit in CFS.
What were your thoughts when you first started going down this road?
Well, I knew that the one thing that we had to do was look for the answers, and I believed that all along we were going to find an underlying pathogen. It didn't make sense that so many different viruses had been claimed to have caused this disorder. So, you know, I was absolutely thrilled. This is exactly what we started out to do.
One of the things that has been so frustrating for sufferers from chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and other related illnesses is that for a long time people thought that doctors thought that they were crazy. That the symptoms that were coming up, symptoms coming up in one place and then showing up in another place, and there was no way to track it.
It's really been very, very interesting, and well, the exciting thing is that Judy can tell you that how the virus works, and every one of the symptoms makes sense because of that. So it's wonderful to be able to have this puzzle, just all the pieces come together suddenly and fit so well. But I'm certainly she can speak to that.
Well, I was going to say, specifically, you know, let's relate it to women. A lot of the problems that women have suffered with this, you have now been able to track down in an incredible detective work.
Right, correct. So it's a simple retrovirus, which means its expression, the on or off, is controlled by just, and we've just learned this, it's unpublished data, by just 3 things: the response to hormones and the response to inflammatory cytokines. It's called a NF-kappa B element. So cortisol, which is the stress hormone, it turns on the virus very rapidly and continues to have it expressed. So do inflammatory events, like as caused by other pathogens, and so do hormones like androgens and progesterones, which also make sense with regard to prostate cancer and inflammatory prostate cancer and the disease being more prevalent in women.
One of the things that is common here is that this is not an airborne disease, which is something that people had potentially thought about. I mean, this is something that's all over the world.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's just stunning. But it's actually fluids and blood that are being
That's correct. I think we're, obviously looking into that and describing that more fully so that we can, but in the history of these other viruses, that's what they've, discovered. It's not airborne, thank goodness.
Okay, this has way more ramifications than just CFS and ME.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been a very strong supporter of the autism community on this program and tried to cover that as much as possible. What effect might it have on the autism community with this research?
Well,
and findings. I mean, it's beyond just research, but findings.
We're excited to, it's not in the paper and it's not reported, but we've actually done some of those studies, and we found this virus present in a significant number of autistic samples that we have tested so far.
So there is tremendous potential for this to potentially be something that will be solvable for the autism community.
Be linked to a number of neuroimmune diseases, including autism. It certainly won't be all, because there are, genetic defects that result in autism, but there are also the environmental effects. There is always, the hypothesis that my child was fine and then they got sick and then they got autism. Interestingly, on that note, if I might speculate a little bit, the vaccine, this might even explain why vaccines lead to autism in some children, because these viruses live and divide and grow in the lymphocytes, the immune response cells, the B and the T cells. So when you give a vaccine, you send your B and T cells in your immune system into overdrive. That's its job. Well, if you're harboring one virus and you replicate it a whole bunch, you've now broken the balance between the immune response and the virus. So you could have had the underlying virus and then amplified it with that vaccine and then set off the disease such that your immune system could no longer control other infections and created an immune deficiency.
Let's take a break. More on this very exciting discovery when we come back.